never know.
Hey, I've got something very controversial to tell you that it just came into my mind, but it's my opinion. Um, because you said about the Honda not being competitive since 2017 or something, really, truly like one of the best bikes. Um, what I would like to say is that when you win, you get to take, say, for example, I'm talking about Marquez, okay? When Mark wins, he gets, Santi gets, Puig gets, some of the credit for doing this. They made the decisions, they decided who to listen to, and they get some of the credit, they get to celebrate. I don't think it's fair to put all the shit on Honda when things are going down the tube. Some of the responsibility lies with Mark, Santi, Puig for deciding who to listen to, which way to go, which way to develop. Look, you can argue and say Mark's been out for ages. You can say, um, but they went the wrong way when Mark was injured. Like you said, the bike wasn't great in 2017. Mark was riding it all the years. They followed his way, Santi, uh, Puig decided who to listen to, who to hire and fire. Some of the responsibilities with them. It's not all Honda's fault,
Of course. I mean, with Mark, the thing is, he was the best rider on the grid by far in 2019. And even in 2020, the small glimpse of what we saw in 2020 before he injured himself was miraculous. I mean, the way he cut through this field, I've never seen something like this in my life. I mean, it was extraordinary.
Yeah.
But then, with no reason at all, he was so aggressive into this corner and crashed. And then again, with no reason at all, he forced his way back in after the injury 1 week later, where he just should have sat out and accepted that this was a mistake, where he crashed and just healed up. And now he ruined basically his entire career. And I think mentally, this process of being the best in the world, untouchable, and due to his own mistakes, not being able to compete anymore where he should belong, which is on top of the podium. I mean, let's not be kidding ourselves. If Mark Marquez was as good as he was 2019 and he had the right bike underneath him, I think Pecco would be in serious danger, and I don't think Pecco would be a match for him over a whole season because
just give him the same bike.
Because Pecco is too inconsistent. But now I think Mark desperately wants to go back to this winning way, and I think over the process, his we talked a little bit about depression. I think he went through severe depression over the last 3 years, where everything, the way he is known it, his entire career has went down the drain. And he has seen other riders fail and fail and fail. And therefore, I think that within Mark, something changed where he is not being able to deal with the situation. Like, for example, Valentino Rossi. In 2004, he went to Yamaha, and Yamaha had no business of winning, but he made that team. And Mark is not able to make that team when shit is hitting the fan. And also, I think that Santi Hernandez, Stefan Bradl gets a lot of shit from me because he's the test rider. He is supposed to test the bike and develop the bike, and all he does is crashing when he's on the race. So yeah, I more or less agree with you, and it kind of shows me, because this is also a huge topic I want to talk to you about, that Marc Marquez has a contract for next year, but everybody is talking about him leaving the sinking ship. And when you talk about a real captain, he's leaving the ship last. And it appears to be that Mark isn't behind Honda, and he is unable to take on the responsibility and unable to fix the issue together with Honda. It seems like he just is able to win when things are going his way because he is one of the most talented riders ever. But I don't think he has the mental capacity to dig this team out of the hole and make the bike good again, because it always has been good for him.
I think it's a little bit more simple. I agree with you that Mark is something extraordinary, and it's a shame that he got hurt. When he got hurt, I still suspect Honda Electronics, They're the only ones that get regularly high-sided off,
That's true again.
So I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, remember when he got back on? He got high-sided off in Assen?
Yeah.
Because in general, we don't see the other guys high-siding on the gas, Closed throttle high-sides, you can't prevent that, cold tire coming around. That's not to do with electronics. But on the throttle, that's what electronics are meant to help, as well. Anyway, that's why I think Honda Electronics are behind the others, And I heard the Suzuki guys come in, and the big thing they were working on, Tucker was agreeing, was electronics. Suzuki boys were like going, this is not right. And so I think Honda are behind on electronics as well. But what I would like to say is Mark is one of those exceptional riders, very, very exceptional. And someone put it the best, and Gigi Delinea said something along the lines of the part of the problem is Honda have always listened to their, don't quote me on exactly how he put it, but the gist of it was Honda listened too much to their world champions.
Yeah.
And Gigi, his point was he listens to all of the riders because they'll all give you information to help your project go forward. But if you follow the world champion, often Fabio, I think, is the same. Mark, I'm sure, is the same. They're not the bike development guys. They'll ride fucking anything. They're just exceptional. You put some good tires in it and they'll go win. And it's not the way to develop a bike better. Like I was saying, you need all the little things, a puzzle to come. Then everybody can ride it. You'll get results from everyone. And I think it's as simple as that, as a generalization.
Yeah. Talking about this, I mean, Johann Zarco has an incredible value for Ducati. He doesn't win a thing, but he is one of the most valuable riders that they have, because he is doing all the testing work on live race weekends. I mean, Johann Zarco is, in my opinion, a very, very valuable rider to Ducati because he's like an extension of the test team.
Yes. I've seen you right in certain times when Ducati had lots of things to test, but recent times they don't, there's not so much.
I mean, even now with the ground effect thing we talked about, Pramac is testing the ground effect thing.
They started the season this year, all 4 riders. So, I was going to say Bastianini. Yeah, sorry, Enea, Bastianini. Getting confused with Battini, who's the Ducati 2-up rider. Sorry, I'll start again. 4 factory 23 Ducati bikes are Enea Bastianini, Pecco Bagnaia, Zarco, and Jorge Martin. Those 4 had the choice of the belly pans. They said, which ones do you want to use? And they were allowed, because the press drilled them. I was there. They were saying, were you being pushed to you? So they have info from 2 ways. And they said, no, they let us choose what we wanted to choose. And I like that because Jorge said, because it's braking stability. It's a little bit heavier, but I like the braking stability. Others say about the turning. So, anyway, you know what I'm saying. They're not testing. It happens to be good info for Gigi, but they were allowed to take what they want. I used to see different stuff on Johan's bike. You're right. Even up to last year, different chassis stuff. He'd run a different chassis, a different flywheel, and try different things. Obviously we can't see electronics, but what I'm saying is I think they're in such a good place in general that the bike doesn't change much at the moment. They go to tests and don't have things to try apart from electronics. The bike is close as, they're waiting for the test team to get something better because they haven't. You know what I'm saying? They're in a good place. So But I'm not saying Johan's not a good test rider. I'm just saying he doesn't have much to do recently if that's his job, you know?
I remember that with the front right height devices, there was some regulation thing. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, last year those front right height devices were legal and this year they were banned.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to prepare for this, Johann Zarco rode the whole last season without the front right height device, even though it was legal, but just to prepare Ducati for life after the front right height device.
He did quite a bit of the season with that device.
Okay.
And then my memory says something like the last third of the year, he did not run it. It was
Okay.
actually there in the same forks and that, but I could see the connecting rod thing wasn't there, you know, so
Okay.
it wasn't functional. And it did Jorge Martin's head in, didn't it? He lost his way with which I can really relate to because most of the rider's confidence feel comes through the front. And imagine that changing, you know, riders can feel 2 millimeter. Imagine whatever it is, 35
Yeah.
or more. It must have been confusing, but
What Jack told me in the podcast after the test was that the big thing for Jorge Martin was the engine, because
yes,
this on
dead right.
throttle thing with the GP22 was a catastrophe for him.
Yeah.
And the GP23 is much more his type of engine.
So what I saw was with that 22 engine that wasn't updated, like the hybrid, like the factory team had, Jack and Pecco. Pramac kept with it for the year, and the problem with it was rear grip. It was more power, but it delivered it not smoothly. So it broke traction, spun up. So Jorge, right from the first test, all the riders were complaining about it in Malaysia. And I even asked Tardozzi. He came clean and said, the boys are having trouble. We'll get around it, you know, with this engine. And Jorge said that as soon as he stood it up and drove, it spun, you know, so
Okay.
it spun up. I said to Tardozzi, is there any chance you're not running it? Are you that worried? And he goes, no, we'll figure it out. Actually, they didn't run it, you know. They didn't figure it out. Apparently, the factory riders said, we don't want to use this. The problem I saw with Jorge Martin firsthand, watching everything he did, is he changed the bike setup to fix the grip, but then lost in other areas and had to
Yeah.
ride with that your compromised setup trying to help a problem for the rest of the year, and he never really got his confidence back, did he? With that, together with the front ride height, I think fried his brain. You know,
Yeah.
front changing, no rear grip, different setup. As soon as they got rid of that engine, and he could have back to a base setting that it worked, he was away again. Yeah, got his confidence back. And
Yeah.
sorry, the confidence. I meant to say that's a big part of bike racing, a big part of sport. And what Mark's been through, Marquez, you can't believe that he hasn't lost some confidence because
Yeah.
that would finish most people. He's so fucking hard that he's still trying to win till
Yeah.
recently. And the big telling thing for me was Assen, where Taka Nakagami had a good race.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a real Mark would be at least 2 places ahead of Tucker, you know?
Regarding what you said about Mark Marquez earlier, where we talked a little bit about his state, I think he is so fed up with Honda that he isn't even willing to race anymore.
He's not
And
willing to crash anymore. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
because that's the second part of the sentence I was about to finish. Because the risk of riding the Honda is so damn high for somebody who is so injured or has so many injuries sustained like Mark Marquez has.
I think it's mentally like when your confidence is already taken a hit, and he's so determined just to carry on, but it's got to a point where my belief is that he's got to a point where I can't do this anymore.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? But a lot of it is mental because it's incredible what you can make your body do if you are still there. But as soon as you start coming down, you're going like, nah.
Yeah.
It's enough. And he's been through more than most people would put up with, crash wise. Again, I just like to repeat. I don't think the first one. I think there's a good chance that the first one that originally injured him was electronic problem. Because it kept happening after it happened before.
Yeah.
That's only my guess. It's not, saying it's fact.
Yeah.
But I would still like to repeat that I think part of the bike being a fucking hard thing to ride is him and Santi's doing.
Yeah. Of course.
Going off down the right track because Mark is so brilliant. He can ride anything.
Yeah. I mean, you saw it with Pol Espargaro. Pol Espargaro was good in Indonesia in the test and good in the race in Qatar in 2021, I believe, or 2022. 2022. And what Honda basically did over the last 10 years was build a bike around Marcus, which was so heavy on the front and had no rear grip, but Marcus managed to ride the thing better than anybody because he is so incredibly talented and so good. And as soon as you took out Marcus out of the equation, Honda was lost. And that's part of the reason why they are lost, because they only listen to Mark. And then now they try to shift the balance more towards the rear, so it's more balanced. This one failed because they lost all the confidence at the front.
Sounds like it was. Sounds like it had nothing good.
Yeah, and now they're trying to go back to the front with the engine. Jack told me that he suspects that they shifted the engine a little bit more towards the front, so to get the front feedback. This didn't work, and now every Honda rider is injured. And this is a result of the last 10 years where Marc Marquez was the only one who really developed the bike. Because I think when you really listen to Jorge Lorenzo, you would have gotten a totally different bike there.
Yes, I have to back that up. The only thing I'd add is Carl could ride it. He was probably the only one that, not as consistent as Mark, but Carl he won on it, and he was fast on it regularly, and pretty much no one else made friends with it. And I have to repeat what you just said, that I agree. If they'd really listened to Jorge, listened and done exactly what they probably would have headed in the right direction, because the guy is so sensitive,
The last thing about Marc Marquez I want to know, where will he go? Do you think he will breach his contract? Do you think he will... Before you answer, maybe I would like to tell you my top 3 Marquez options.
Go.
The first one is if he gets out of this contract and gets any other bike, everything at the moment is better than a Honda. I mean, even a Yamaha, at least the Yamaha is not trying to injure their riders. If he gets out of this contract and somehow gets like on a Ducati or even a Aprilia, whatever, I mean, a KTM is up for speculation. Anything is better than Honda. This would be the best case scenario for Marquez. Seems unlikely since he has a contract, but in my opinion, the second best option is to retire after the season, heal up in 2024, and come back in 2025 with a new team and a healed up body where you are 100% healthy, or as healthy as you can be after those injuries, with a new team, and because there's no point in racing for Honda in 24. And the third best option is just race with Honda next year.
Okay. So I obviously don't know. Nobody knows right now.
I was hoping Mark. You know.
No, of course not. I don't know. So the problem of Mark going somewhere else is everyone was talking about KTM. Maybe a Husqvarna or where there's no spots. There's no places. So for Mark to go to a KTM, they have to get rid of somebody else, and they've already got too many riders. They've got to find a place for Pedro. I think that's their priority. If just watching, I think that's their priority. Then, you could argue, fans out there could argue, yeah, but Mark could win, and Mark will, But I wasn't going to say this, but because I didn't want. I never repeat things I think are off the record. But Pit Byer said this publicly also. One of my workmates pointed out, because he already knew it. He said, "No, Pit said that," and that is the problem with taking Mark on, if you're KTM, is if Mark wins, it's Mark. He's magic. If Mark doesn't win, KTM's shit. So it's like a no-win situation, and they already have too many guys, and there's no spots more, unless you're a real new manufacturer come in, you're like, even then, I don't think there's any more spots on the grid. Okay. So KTM, I think, is out, out of unless something I never saw happening, Red Bull force it or something, So the only place I could see him going is, and I don't know anything that anything more than you, is Aprilia. Like, I could see it happening because Aprilia is so kind, so patient, They've proven that with Iannone, how they backed him all the way. And then with Maverick, like I don't think anyone else would have the patience of Aprilia have had with Maverick, waiting for him, hoping, So, and they need to win probably more than everybody, you know what I mean? Like, so if Mark came in there cap in hand and said, I'll ride for you for nothing, I've got enough money, how could you say no to Mark? Like, I don't know anything because I haven't even spoken to the guys about this at Aprilia, how they feel about Mark. So I don't know. But I think it would be a shame for Honda to lose Mark in this situation. And the only hope of Honda keeping Mark, the rekindled hope, is the concessions.
And the Misano test.
Yep. Because if Honda can do what I believe Yamaha did with Fabio at the end of last year, is say, Fabio, apart from this wheelbarrow of cash, we're going to hire an F1 engine guy, which they did, and this is his resume, and he's going to make you an engine with more power, which he did. You know what I'm saying? Like, if Honda can go push the Japanese from Honda and say, this is all speculation, but if they could go to Mark and go, we've got concessions for next year, that means we can update the engine all the year. We can keep updating it, making it better, fixing the problems. We've hired this Italian electronics guy, because that's who, the best electronics guys. And we've hired these aero guys from Ducati, and we've got concessions all year. What do you reckon? Like, I think there's a good chance of keeping him up because there's real hope where there wasn't any, I'm looking from rider's point of view. That would give me hope. The biggest manufacturer in the world with concessions and the money to buy all the people and actually do it and listen to them. If you go to them like that, I think there's a good chance of like, okay, let's have another go. It's what I hope happens.
The other chance is to say you have signed a contract you ride for next year.
Push said publicly that we never have forced a rider to stay where he doesn't want.
If you were Honda, forget Marc Marquez as a sportsman for a second.
Mm-hmm.
If you were Honda, would you let the personality Marc Marquez, the biggest brand ambassador you probably can get outside of Valentino Rossi at the moment for your brand, would you let him go, really? When you have him under contract?
No, probably not. Especially to go and fight against you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, go and retire. Yeah. But go and fight against you? Nah.
Yeah.
Nah, you're right.
I mean, I could really, I don't really see it, but I hope for Mark that he considers this option of sitting out a year like Andrea Dovizioso did with his sabbatical. I think that would be really beneficial for him and his health and his long-term health. I really hope that he's at least considering it.
The problem is with that is races need to fight, and I think hope and a challenge is what he needs, because without that, like I said, races get depressed, which is good for nothing. So the real thing I believe is, like, Mark turned it all around in 12 months, less than, sorry, Mugello last year, so middle of the season to start of the season, he was ready. He was ready to win. So what I'm saying is we're in the same point. If you could say to Mark, let's restart from here for next year. We've done this. That's what I think the best. That's what I would do if I was Honda. You know,
Yeah.
we've got concessions. We've got this. We've got all these engineers. You've got just do whatever it takes to be ready for next year because we're going to win again. And riders want that challenge. You know, otherwise they're going to go and get depressed. So
Yeah. That's
they want that
definitely
hope. They want that hope to fight for.
yeah. That's definitely a valid argument. Still, I think for his long-term health, it wouldn't be beneficial to ride for Honda next year, because there will be those growing pains where you might do a wrong move or go into the wrong direction, which is totally natural when you're developing a bike. I mean, look at Aprilia, look at KTM, all of those. Look even at Ducati, they had some very dark places where they went, and they dug themselves out of it. But I think that Mark can't afford another crash like Indonesia, for example, or another crash like Jerez, you know?
Yeah, but okay, understand. But
You
the
know what I
way out of
mean?
it, but Honda's interest is getting out of this hole. If they're going to race again next year, it's getting out of this hole, and the way to do
Yeah,
it, I've already explained the way to do it.
yeah,
And the way around, if you were them, is keep Mark, hire all the right people with concessions that you can update, and everybody can see that is the way out. And I think it's the only option if they're going to stay. That's
yeah.
it. That's it.
Also, I think we have totally different viewpoints on this, because you view it from the motorcycle racer, and I think I view it more from a human perspective, because I don't fully understand how it is to be a racer. And I
But the
think
time
about
off,
his, yeah,
isn't not going to fix him.
I think about his health all the time. I mean, like, how can you do this? What he sustained is incredible, that he's even on a bike. And I really don't want to see him hurt himself so badly that he can't function for the rest of his life. Forget motorcycle racing. That's like I believe our two different point of views on this topic, you know?
Yeah, but yeah, you're dealing with an extreme racer
Yeah.
with Mark,
Yeah.
and I know racer mentality. Mine was the same. His is extreme. So, like I said, the only thing that works for them is a challenge, something to fight for, get up, train for, focus on. And the way to give him that is, like I said, those concessions, the engineers, the promise of all the right people, so he can believe it's going to happen, you know.
Yeah.
And really, Honda need to do exactly that anyway. It's, you know, so that's the only way I see out of all of this shit.
So quick
I think
answer.
Yamaha's in the same boat,
Yeah.
basically,
True.
and I believe that they, from my own experience, you know, with Yamaha, is I believe they're slightly more open. You know, they took on Valley and listened to his guys and found their way out of the shit they were in before Valley was there, and I think they're up for it. And if they are the Yamaha, I believe they are. They've already hired the people now working on it. You know, so
Yeah.
let's hope Honda do the same.
Quick question, yes or no? Do you think Mark Marquez will race next year for Honda?
Like I said, I don't know the answer. I hope and believe that he will. I think the problem that might destroy this hope is if a Ducati comes available, because he knows if he gets on one of those, he'll win.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even need the money, does he? You know. So imagine if a Grassini Ducati came up, Mark's going to jump at it, no? If he can.
Now
Like,
you
imagine,
opened. Now you opened another can.
because imagine being in a team with your brother and
Yeah.
on the bike that can win.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Mark's going to win. And
Yeah.
what a carrot. But I sincerely hope that doesn't happen. And I hope he helps dig Honda out of where they are and carry on. And, hey, the other thing that Honda need to hire is someone really to steer the development project, really, don't they,
That's true.
Meaning
I mean,
Ducati, sorry to talk over you there, one of the key things that Ducati actually told me was having Michele Pirro and that test team. And that test team told me when I rode Misano with Michele is one of their strengths is that Michele can go within 1 second of the best rider in the world on our bike, and that is so invaluable. Like, so they can really test stuff and have clear information in the same language,
yeah, I know.
Anyway, so
Yeah. Now you opened another can. Do you really think Ducati needs or wants Marc Marquez?
that's a really good question because it's not like the KTM one and it's a little bit different than the Aprilia one. The thing is, I'm only guessing this. This is real guess. But they don't need him, but it's no risk, is it? It's not like KTM where it's no win. Doesn't matter what happens, you don't win. Where with Ducati, everybody knows they're already the best, If they don't need to pay him, no, because they've already got Pecco, they're already, But if Mark really wants to come there, you imagine being, I'm terrible at this, ADHD. Ducati CEO, I can see his face right now, Domenicali,
Yes.
Claudio Domenicali. Can you imagine being Claudio right now? It's not really going to cost you anything, okay? I'm Mark. It's not really going to cost you anything. Mark wants to ride alongside his brother. Are you going to say no? Nah.
I mean, the risk there would be that
What?
Ducati is in a very good place at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
They have Pecco. He wins almost every race he attends because he's that good. They have Enea Bastianini. They have Jorge Martin. They have Marco Bezzecchi. Those are three riders who, without Pecco, could win a world championship. And even with Pecco, after a couple of years of maybe developing as a rider, they could win world championships. Do you really risk of disturbing this balance you have, this power hierarchy where there's already enough competition that maybe too
I
many
think I understand
isn't
what you're
good?
saying. And I would like to say that you said a really good word there, power balance. I don't think this is the worrying power balance. The worrying power balance, if you're Claudio Domenicali, is if you take Mark away from Honda, do we lose Honda in the championship? I think that is the worry if you are Claudio.
That is also a very interesting thought there.
Yeah, because otherwise you'd say yes. But if you say yes, does that be the tipping point that will Honda say, no, we're out?
I never thought about this. I
Which
never thought about this
all
because
of the manufacturers will be thinking that, if they are in discussions to give help to keep the Japanese manufacturers, the last thing they're going to do is steal their main rider because that'll push them over the edge, won't it? Good chance.
yeah.
So in the end, I think Mark will stay with Honda.
Yeah, I mean, this is so out of my worldview that Honda might leave MotoGP. I mean, the sky is blue, water is wet. Honda races in MotoGP. I mean, it's that simple, and it's a very, very good point. I never thought of, and which shows all the politics behind the scenes that we don't see, which really makes sense when you think about it. But on the other hand, it sounds so utterly ridiculous that Honda and Yamaha might leave MotoGP.
Hey, look, I didn't believe it either. So I said, for example, one of the satellite teams. So clever businessman, said to me when I asked him, will the Japanese pull out? And then he went, no, like, I can't remember the numbers, I'm sorry, exactly. But he quoted something like, clever business guy, this manufacturer invests 200 billion in cars every year, and with what they get back from cars, they make two and a bit billion in profit. Okay. And with motorcycles, they put in, I think he said 11 to 15 billion, and they get 1.25 billion back. He says motorcycles is too profitable to stop. This is great. I added, majority of that profit must be from Asia, and Asia love the bike racing. Why would you pull out? And he's like, yeah, they're not going to pull out. But then, and even a person higher up the ladder in a different Japanese manufacturer said to me, I understand that, and that person is right, but why would you keep having negative publicity? You would go away and come back when you know you're not going to have negative publicity.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And the big thing there is BMW. BMW sells a lot of motorcycles without being successful in World Superbike and not racing at all in MotoGP.
Yeah.
I mean, you can still get this profit without racing in MotoGP. And as you said,
I think, though, BMW sell a lot of 1,000cc motorcycles, but the big profit, I think, in motorcycle sales worldwide is the little bikes, which must, so, yeah.
But BMW is a very interesting topic because since I watch MotoGP, there's always this might BMW join MotoGP thing, And with what you mentioned with KTM and Six Bikes, this all brings the whole discussion about a new manufacturer in. And what I've heard is that BMW got the opportunity to take over the Suzuki project after Suzuki left. Can you confirm this? Is this real or is it just...
No, I can't. I really don't know.
Okay.
I don't know anyone at BMW because they're not in the paddock.
Yeah.
So I don't talk to anyone there. Suzuki guys never told me anything about this.
Okay.
The guys I know didn't know that. To be honest, the Suzuki guys, once that announcement was made, it was like the air came out of them,
Yeah.
It was like, so it was like their job's gone. It wasn't like you could talk about the future with them. They were like, so I didn't get any of this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a rumor I heard. I mean, I can't confirm that this is real, but I've seen some video about it or read an article about it. I don't remember.
The thing I have to say is, as great as BMW are, and their bike, actually, I really liked it. I rode it last year, the M, the 1000M thing. I know it's expensive.
M1000RR.
I was really impressed. It's the first BMW I've liked, meaning sports bike. I like their road ones. And on track, I never liked the old ones. The power, the throttle connection, but that new one is very nice. Very nice. Then I've got to say, if they can't win in World Superbike, how are they going to win in MotoGP?
I mean, I believe if BMW really wanted to and took over the Suzuki project and put the right amount of money into it, developed the aero package, because Suzuki was also a little bit behind on the aero thing. If they really put all their resources in there and not focus on MotoGP equally as they focus, for example, on GT3 racing or on the Le Mans hypercar thing.
I would love to see that.
BMW has the capacity to do that. I mean, it's such a big brand, but the board, I mean, the board members never wanted to have MotoGP on there, and they're cooperating with MotoGP as an advertiser. They have the safety car, they have the BMW safety bikes. They get all what they want from MotoGP without actually risking it, you know?
Okay, I'll throw something else at you as an argument that I think that I think Honda are in the trouble they are at the moment from not listening enough, trying to not being hungry, watching what others are doing and taking information from other people and not listening to that, Look, it's a fear of mine if they hire the aero guys from Ducati and they're trying that they won't go boys, have your freedom, do what you think is, they'll hold them back or not listen, or it's still a fear of mine now going forward. BMW is not famous for listening either, I would just throw that out there as an argument. I've never worked with them like I have the others, but I have ears and I watch the Superbike project, their riders, listen to it's, I think secondhand news, not directed to, is one of the things that hold them back in the Superbike project. And I would have the same fear unless they were fully invested, and that same would happen in the Grand Prix,
Yeah.
the Grand Prix paddock.
I mean, that's a very big if discussion we are having here.
I know.
But
I don't think it's going to happen. Because there's not the places on the grid.
Yeah,
so let's forget about that one, because I don't think it's
where
happening.
I wanted to go with this is apparently BMW had the option of joining MotoGP, and there is no better entry strategy than taking over Suzuki. I mean, Suzuki was a race-winning bike. You could, in my opinion, you could have won a championship on it in 2022.
With the right guys, yeah.
With not necessarily the right guys. I think the right guys were in place.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
the whole announcement.
No, but if you took BMW, if they took it up, they would have to rehire people.
Yeah.
And who knows what they would have.
But I think, I mean, if Suzuki never pulled out of MotoGP, last year would have been a very, very good shot of Alex Rins winning the title. Because I think, as you said, it took the air out of them. And Alex Rins at the end of the season was so competitive. At the beginning of the season, he was very competitive. He stopped crashing all the time. Pecco was crashing all the time. And Fabio wasn't too consistent either. So I think it would have been a very, very successful season for Suzuki if this big announcement never came and if Suzuki just stayed in MotoGP. So where I want to go with this, BMW had a perfect opportunity of joining MotoGP with a very competitive bike, with a very good structure in place, with the right riders, with the right test team.
Yeah.
Suzuki was doing a great job in MotoGP, and they passed on that because the investment would have been too high to keep the project running. That's the rumor I've read, seen, heard, whatsoever. And Kawasaki has been notorious over the years for not wanting to go to MotoGP because they get their value from World Superbike, and they don't see a value in MotoGP because anything they did in MotoGP failed extremely hard before the financial crisis in 2008. So in my world, BMW is out because if they wanted to, they would have already joined.
The chances passed. Yeah.
Kawasaki also very, very unlikely.
No, but what I'm telling you is I don't believe there's any slots now.
Yes, but Dorna is keeping this slot open for a new manufacturer. And you already said previously that this is the reason KTM isn't getting 6 bikes. So where is this new manufacturer?
No, but I think, from what I understand, look, now we're talking above my pay grade. That's why I can't confirm everything. But I believe that the championship doesn't need more bikes from their point of view. So I don't think it's going to change anymore. Even with another manufacturer.
Do you mean more bikes in the number of 22
No, I think
bikes?
if you want to come in now, you have to get the slot off someone else who's already there.
So do you think this whole thing, we are just keeping this Suzuki spot free for a new manufacturer is just bullshit?
I think it's died. Yeah, I think it originally was there. BMW missed whoever missed the opportunity. And now I don't think it's going to go to more bikes.
Because this would explain a lot. Because the argument always has been, we keep this spot for a new manufacturer. And I
And I
never,
think that originally was true. They were going, no, we need
maybe,
another one, I believe.
maybe. But now KTM went to Dorna, said, I want 6 bikes. And Dorna said, no, this place is for a new
I
manufacturer.
think that's true, yeah.
And in my opinion, that never made sense because in my opinion, there is nobody realistically able to join MotoGP. I mean,
Except
BMW
Husqvarna,
isn't,
yeah.
Kawasaki isn't. Let's be honest, MV Agusta, Triumph, they aren't big enough to compete in MotoGP financially, and therefore I don't understand why Dorna never allowed KTM to run 6 bikes.
Hey, I'll have a guess. And this is really as a guess. I don't know. Because I don't, like I said, all of this is above my pay grade. But, from COVID times on, the freight bill to send the bikes in that round has gone mental. Like, you're talking triple what it used to cost, to do the championship, to send all the bikes around, triple. And I imagine that is part of, then you've got to support the team, the Dorna support the teams so that, they get millions to come. They're the entertainment providers, and that's great because it didn't used to be this good. They didn't look after them, they're putting back in, looking after their investment. And the way I see it this is a guess, only taking the info I have is that it's better if you're paying 3 times the bill you don't need the last 2 bikes on the grid, you know what I mean? You don't
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's my guess, that.
But this explanation explains why KTM didn't get the 6th or the 2 left seats and the 5th and 6th
And
bike.
I think they would really want it because they got more riders than slots.
I mean, it would solve all of their problems.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the Pedro thing. So where will he ride? Because
that is a good
from a
question.
PR perspective, you can't afford to sack Augusto Fernandez after what KTM did with Remy and did with Raul and did with Iker Lecuona, did with Danilo Petrucci. I mean, the names just go on and on and on. And you just can't afford it because Augusto is also too good. I mean, he scored a 4th place in Le Mans. He's incredible. And when you consider that he has
the
to
team
deal with
like
sprint
him,
race.
He's a thinker, a learner. He's determined. He's professional. Really good with the press. He's a clever boy.
Would be equally as bad to sack Paul Espargaro because it would look so bad. The dude is in the hospital for half a year, and then you sack him after he rode a couple of laps.
They love him. They love him.
And
so you won't say sack because they wouldn't do that to him. They love him. But look, if it was me, I would say, Paul, we're in the shit here. Help, we need you. We'll keep paying you. Please be our development rider to get you back up to speed. Once you're, back up to speed, we need to give your slot to Pedro, or something like that. That's what I would do. I would say, please help us out. We're in this shit. We'll stand by you. We love you. You know it because they do. Help us develop the bike this year, and we'll get you back in to following. Like somehow, or we'll not back in, but we'll continue to look after you. Look, if they've got 4 bikes on the grid with this schedule, it's proven if you have experience riding a MotoGP bike on MotoGP tires, you're very valuable. Like, because there's been so many fill-in riders, and they only want guys that know how to ride these bikes on these tires. Otherwise, it's not possible. So Pole is in a valuable position.
That would be, from KTM's perspective, the most elegant way of solving this Pedro Acosta problem.
I'm only thinking if I was Pitt or KTM, that's what I would do.
If you were Paul, you wouldn't accept this, in my opinion, because there's no guarantee of you ever going back. I mean, if Paul wants to retire, cool. If Paul wants to be a development rider, cool. But I don't think
He's
Paul
a
wants
hungry
to
boy,
be that.
yeah.
He wants to be, he went to KTM because he wants to rediscover himself
Yeah.
after failing at Honda. He wants to prove to everybody that
Mate,
Honda is the
it's a
problem and not him.
cutthroat sport. It's hard. Professional sport is not, it's not nice,
Yeah,
It's not.
of course it's not.
It's not. So all I'm saying is it's the least bad option
But
from my point of view.
Paul would have to play along, and I'm not 100% sure if he does this.
Yeah, but okay, how long has Paul got? Just as 1 year?
Until 2024. That's his contract.
Yeah.
And he can hold KTM to that he has a 2-year contract and says, I'm not going anywhere.
And then if I was KTM, I would say then, okay, mate, but after that, we're not going to look after you then. If you can't look after us now, okay, that's the end of that idea. But we were going to give you this and we'll continue with you after that, no matter what, meaning you will get all the replacement rides, all the, you will get all the test riding you want, we need you to, and we will continue on the following year. Let's make another year's contract or to keep you in, first slot available back in, or you force this. Hey, this is all not really worth continuing on. You're getting me into it, but it's all hypothetical because I don't know the answer. I'm just saying if I was Pitt, this is what I would say. I'm trying to be the fairest.
If I was Paul in this situation, I would request a contract over like a couple of years with extraordinary pay, where I'm set.
You've got to be fair. You got to be, when you say extraordinary pay, it's got to be the same.
How much does Paul earn?
I don't know.
Do you know?
No. I never asked the boys that. It's personal. Okay. I try not to.
Because Paul wants to be a MotoGP rider, and you have to kind of buy him out of an existing contract that he has. So if Paul really wants to be a MotoGP rider, he has every right to be one next year because he signed a contract with KTM.
I'm not arguing with that. Yeah. You're just saying, what do you do? I don't know the answer. I'm just giving you what I would do.
Therefore, I think when you propose that idea, that you would have to give him a lot of money and a lot of security that this plan works out over the next couple of years.
The thing is, I think Paul has until his contract is at the end of the year, and the chance of continuing that is low. You know what I mean? It's because there's all the young boys coming. It's the way sport works. Don't think I don't like Paul. I think he's fucking cool. He's hungry, determined, great to talk to. PR wise as well. He's the best guy, one of the best to have in the press conference when he's done well. But it's like sport happens, You slowly get to the end of that age queue and you're out, And what I'm saying is Paul can look at next year and that's it. Or he can look at that it's 2 or 3 years. That's the way to propose it. My wife's back and they're all going crazy. Hey, buddy, I don't like talking about stuff that I don't know the answer to, because the end I'm only guessing, So, meaning continuing deeper is no point because I don't know the answer,
I would like to talk to you about something that you do know about. And I recognized it after Assen, because in Assen we had this whole track limit discussion with Brad Binder, with Jorge Martin, and also with Pedro Acosta. And you argued that Pedro Acosta deserved the long lap penalty because back in your days, when there was gravel, he would have lost a lot more. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, the dog is running around. Mm-hmm. If you hear it in the background, I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, sounds like a frying pan sizzling. Nothing. No.
Yeah, I think she wants to go out of my office. I'll let her out. One second, then I will be back.
If you've left the recording going, Can we push for a bathroom break really quickly?
Okay. Excuse me, I didn't hear you because I had my headphones.
Can we push pause for a bathroom break? I'll be back
Yeah,
in
sure.
30
Sure.
seconds. Okay.
Okay, we are back after the bathroom break. So yeah, regarding Pedro's long lap, you were arguing that back in your days there was gravel and he would have lost a lot more. And my issue with this argument is basically, I totally understand it in this situation, but why aren't we punishing, for example, Jorge Martin the same way there? Because he also kind of cut a small chicane, but he ran wide. And back in your day, when there was gravel or grass, he would have lost a lot more.
Sorry, which one of Jorge's?
Jorge in the main race in the last lap, where he was in 5th position, I believe, and Brad Binder had
He was
the
right
track limits.
behind and he cut the same
Yeah,
as...
yeah.
No, but I can explain both. Me saying that on the live about the Pedro Acosta thing, I'm explaining actually what they are trying to
Yeah,
do upstairs. Is that if it was gravel, you're going to
of
lose
course.
some, wobble across, and come out
Yeah.
the other side, dirty tires, you're going to lose 3 seconds, or you would have fallen off. So give us back the 3 seconds. That's the aim. So that's why I totally understand that when they explained that a few years ago, what the goal is. So that's why I explained it on the live. That is the goal, because, for example, the reason I did explain it was that, but the team manager, I interviewed him, and afterwards he said to me, "This Akiayo said, I don't understand that. Why would you punish a guy for doing such a good save? And he stayed on. Why would you?" And I just said, upstairs they're thinking that it's gravel. He would have either crashed or he would have lost time. So just give us that time. You don't need to crash anymore, but give us some time back, And you saw Aki, because he's such a level-headed guy. He went, that makes sense, He went from a bit angry to that totally makes sense, And in the end, he didn't even lose the position,
Yeah.
So let's not get into the other part, where it looked like he was on the green and he wasn't. Right, that's got a long discussion. But the Jorge Martin one totally made sense. Is that the last lap? It's if you're what's the word? You're under pressure. They have another word for it. If you're under pressure, that striking distance. Someone else is within striking distance of you on the last lap, and you're in front, and you touch the green, you have to lose a position, because again, you would have lost time on the gravel. That guy would have passed you. There was no one within striking distance of Jorge on the last lap, and his number of track limits was not on the limit because he'd been a good boy during the race. If he'd been on the limit of track limits, meaning he'd already had his warning and then he did it, he would have got a long lap penalty, or 3 seconds. But he
Yes.
did neither. He had no one within striking distance, and his number of track limits wasn't up. So, because the next guy was way back, and then, so that's all it was. Did you want to know more?
Yes, I totally understand the argument behind it, but my problem is that, in my opinion, it's not completely thought through, because why do you apply this argument of, if there was gravel, he would have lost more time in one scenario, but not in the other? For example, stupid example. Do you remember Austin last year, where Mark Marquez pushed Aleix Espargaro wide in the first corner on the start?
Yeah, but you haven't watched the video explaining all this. There's a video on YouTube. I reposted it. Someone on the first corner. If somebody is nudged and they go into, basically they have to go off the track, because this is in the first corner, because of the funneling all those bikes in. If somebody is nudged and they have to go into the green, they have no choice, They are allowed to do that as long as they don't gain time. They're allowed to do that to stay on, to stay on and stay in the race. They can't just ride out there. They have to be nudged, be pushed by someone else. Tell me.
But do you know what I mean? When you get pushed wide, as you explained, you have every right to be to use this exit zone, the asphalt there, and not be punished. But I don't understand why you argue that if there was gravel, he would have lost time and therefore punish Pedro, even though he lost enough time. I mean, he was clearly behind Jake Dixon. I believe it was Iogura, then was Pedro, and
but
then
he didn't. When you said he didn't lose the 3 seconds. He didn't.
No, but he lost time through his on track. He lost time, so therefore I believe he's already punished enough. So why do we have this argument sometimes that if there was gravel he would have lost 3 seconds, but on other scenarios not?
No, but
it's a little bit of cherry picking in my opinion. You know what I mean?
You're not thinking about. I said I don't make the rules. I'm just trying to explain that.
Yeah.
But I understand that the first. Is it the first? I think it might be more than the first turn, but something about the first lap. If you're pushed off, you don't have to give that time if you're pushed by someone else, because then you're double penalized. It's not really fair. There's going to be those contacts on the first corner. You're pushed off by sorry, but you're going to think asshole, and now you're going to penalize me 3 as well.
Yeah.
And you're an asshole as well. No, they just say you're allowed to be out on the green if someone pushes you on the first corner or more. I should know exactly, but basically, let's talk about first corner. You're allowed to be. That's it. So you're kind of exempt from getting punished if you get pushed on the first corner, because they don't want to destroy the race. That guy's possibilities because someone else did it. That's all.
I mean,
as I understand
my issue is not that I have a problem with either particular situation. I mean, I fully understand the explanation of when you cut a chicane and you didn't lose enough time that you should get a long lap penalty. I mean, what you explained makes total sense to me. And also what you explained to me with track limits of Jorge Martin makes total sense to me. What you explained with Elias and Mark there in Austria makes total sense for me.
2 races in a row, Mark did it.
Yeah, isolated. They make total sense. But when you lay them all together, it's not. In Germany, we have a word for it: stringent. It's not the same as the previous situation. I don't know the English word there. But it's not consistent, basically. It's not consistent judgment of equal situations where you leave the track for one reason or another. And therefore I would love to hear your opinion, and then I will let you go. I would propose, if you cut a chicane like Pedro did, like Fermin Aldeguer did in Assen, and you lose you lose time in comparison to your competitors, because I think this 1 second rule to your average sector time is incredibly stupid. If let's pretend Iogura is 2/10 ahead of you and Jack Dixon is 3/10 behind you.
Perfect example was Brad Binder in Le Mans. He cut the chicane.
Did he?
And he had to do the long lap penalty. That's a perfect example of what I believe you're talking about. I thought, he lost a little bit, but it wasn't enough.
But in my opinion, that's just free from any rules that are. If you are, let's say, 2/10 behind Iogura and 3/10 in front of Jake Dixon, and then you have this almost crash like Pedro had, cut the chicane, and then Jake Dixon passes you. And even if it's just half a second you lost, but you lost enough time there because you didn't gain an advantage, that you don't need to be double penalized. Because what happened to Pedro was essentially a double penalty first of all, because he saved the thing and lost time within the save, and use the exit. So therefore he lost some time there, which is a self-enforced error because he made a mistake, but then kind of corrected it. And this was like the first part of the penalty. And then the second part of the penalty is the long lap penalty. And I would propose if you lose time to your competitors, you shouldn't be penalized at all.
Yeah,
because you already lost time,
This is, we could carry on and on and on. But what I feel about that is, I don't think Pedro was hard done by. I loved his save. I loved that he managed to stay on the podium anyway, even after it. But it's simply time wasn't enough for riding through the chicane, and I totally understand it, I really do. And he pulled it off perfect. I don't think there was anything negative. The one I felt bad about was Brad Binder cut the chicane. He lost time, as in Le Mans, the last fast chicane, where Mark crashed, I think. Anyway, the last fast chicane. And he went through it, and he was within striking distance of another guy. The race was going to be good. And then he had to do the long lap penalty. And I was like, oh, shit. Because it ruined his race. It ruined the fight. It ruined the entertainment for us. Brad didn't understand the penalty. He thought that it was losing a second on the guy in front. But no, it was, like you said, he had to lose a second, be a second slower than his average for that sector. I understand why they've done that, because imagine you gain time, but the guy in front had made a mistake. He almost high sides, but you didn't get penalised because you didn't. Now I must be getting tired, mate. My brain is no longer focused.
No, but I get what you. It makes perfect sense what you're saying.
You can't judge it on the other guy's position because that can vary. You have to judge it on your time. I understand why they came up. The whole thing that just as a generalization, the whole thing I don't like about the penalties is they are trying to micromanage, and it's always going to be seen shit from, he didn't get that and I got that and then the public are going to do the same. My feeling is, fuck it, it's motorbike racing. It's going to have some contact. It's going to have some, just jump on the big shit. That is my general feeling. Jump on the big shit, the big dumb stuff, like Tucker taking out people in the first turn in Barcelona. They didn't get a penalty. I'd have jumped on them, and meaning big penalty. But the guys that do it repeatedly, like I would say Mark punting people off on turn one repeatedly.
Mark in general doing stuff.
Exactly, Mark in general. But repeated stuff should be jumped on really hard. And if he does it again, even harder. Sit the race out, next one, jump on them. But all the little things, is like if you try to penalise all the little things, I feel sorry for the guys upstairs. I genuinely do, because I know Freddie, and he's got a good heart. He's actually really sensitive. He's not corrupt in the slightest, and everybody accuses him of being corrupt, fucking blind, and all he's trying to do is his best, and half the people don't even understand what he's trying to do because of those rules that we're talking about now, because it's not clear enough for us all. But it's not through lack of trying from Freddie. I don't always agree, meaning the penalties in Jerez, but I just left them all, Fabio and Franco turn one, the bumping into Pecco had to drop a position. It's fucking motorbike racing. Leave all that, but jump on the big shit that threatens people, ruins other people's races, takes people out, all that, jump on it, especially if they do it repeatedly. But the penalty thing in general is like, we're going to bore the hell out of all your followers, because it bores me quickly, because at the end of the day, the way I see it is those boys are really trying to do their best upstairs. They're not corrupt. It's not not transparent enough for all of us so we understand. That is a big problem. So it's the reason that everyone gets angry when they shouldn't, because they don't actually know why they've done it. There should be a little explanation, or I don't know, more transparent. But you know how I feel otherwise. Don't worry about all the little stuff. Let's go racing. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm going like that. I think we've been going a few hours. I need to.
We are approaching 3 hours, and my brain is fried as well because, like always, thinking in a foreign language is incredibly exhausting.
And I'm not even doing that.
But basically, what you said, I fully agree with. But with Pedro, let's take this situation. He lost enough time. Just let him race. I don't care. I mean, with Pecco and I believe it was Jack Miller, he just overtook him. Let him race. I mean,
yeah. I totally agree with that one.
This micromanagement you talk, I fully agree with you, and therefore I think
we're not going to agree.
I think
on
in
the
a sense we agree.
Yes.
I think in a sense we agree. We don't want the stewards involved.
Can I put it another way? From a racer, I'm racing Pedro. I'm behind him. I'm Aaron Canet. Pedro lost the front. He did a fucking fantastic save, but he went through the chicane. He lost the front because he pushed a little bit too hard. I didn't, He almost crashed because he didn't manage it perfectly. You know what I mean? So he ran through the chicane. The rules should apply to him. He went through the chicane. Doesn't matter how. He made the mistake which led to him going through the chicane. From my point of view behind, fuck him. He can have the 3 second, he can have the long lap. Because if the gravel was there, it's the same as me cutting it, not being able to stop. It doesn't matter how you didn't stop. If you cut the chicane, I'll be honest, that's why I stand by that one. I agree with it.
I mean, I totally disagree.
Okay,
we
cool.
can happily agree to disagree because when we have this situation, you're the racer behind, he already lost like half a second or whatsoever.
Half a second's not enough for cutting the chicane.
But if you're the rider behind, you would penalize, even if it's 5 seconds ahead, you would give him a 6 second penalty because you want to overtake him.
No, only the one that stands, no matter how you did it. And I think it's correct. So,
okay. But we are approaching 3 hours. My girlfriend made dinner. I guess your dinner is ready also.
Sushi
I would
tonight.
love to
I'm excited.
Talk to you again for 3 hours. There's so much. I really enjoy talking to you. And,
hey, I got to say, I didn't have a clue who you were, only your Instagram. There's some funny stuff on there sometimes. So I've been following you. But I'm glad I said yes because you're a gentleman and you love the sport. And let's do it again.
Thank you very much.
Let's do it again.
Thank you very much. I would love to do it again. Hopefully, I'll be in Austria this season, so maybe we can catch up over the weekend if you have any time, or like if you for some reason go to a World Superbike race. I try to support Remy as much as I can and maybe go to Most. Maybe we can catch up. But there's one little thing I wanted to tell you, because when I was doing the podcast with Jack Gorst, we did a little Q&A, and I feel like I would love to do the Q&A. There's so many people asking stuff. I mean, I could show you the iPad. Look at this. It's just here. Questions over questions over questions.
We haven't done as the people.
Yeah, we haven't done this, and I really would love to. But we talked a lot about the stuff that's on there. But I think with almost 3 hours approaching,
well, let's just fire. That's not fair because we said we were going to answer. How about you pick randomly some ones that we haven't touched on, and we quickly do it. But I'll make the answers short. Okay.
Yeah. Please tell your wife to not be mad at me.
Fast as we can. Okay, fast as we can. We'll do so.
This is a very interesting one. Tell us a story about clever ways teams cheated in the past.
Okay. One was noise. Our bike wouldn't pass a noise test. So if we put the longer muffler on to make it pass a noise test, then it lost power and was heavier. So, so the team made a map that was the ignition curve was retarded. And long as you put that map in before it went to the Parc Fermé, the lower powered engine with a lower retarded ignition curve made less noise. So it passed the test.
There's a question that I should give you a hug and a pat, no, a huge pat on the back. That's huge pat on the back for all the uncomfortable questions to Alberto Puig. So people love your work. There are so many things. Then I mean, there's so many things we already talked about. Do you think Morbidelli is good on board the Ducati?
Yes, I really do. I really do. I mean, he got
Here's the
second in the World
question.
Championship, you know. Man, I look tired, dehydrated.
This is
I look like
this
shit.
is
I
a
look
good one
60.
from Remy's brother. Who's your favorite rider?
My favourite rider? Oh, I'll be honest, I don't have one. That's the truth. I
Okay.
have this strange, I've got to answer it clearly. I have this strange love-hate with riders. I fight for them. I'm so behind them first. I was one. I tried to protect them. I hate the press picking on them, you know, and there's some assholes in the media centre that do that. But at the same time, they drive me crazy because just like I was at their age, they're quite selfish, folks, narrow, you know, focused on the goal. But I don't really have a favourite. There's so many that I really appreciate, especially modern times, because they're so much further ahead than we were as people. You know, the modern races like Pecco, Absolute Gent. You could list them. So I haven't got a favourite rider.
Yeah.
If he's talking about skills, that's something else. But favourite meaning the whole thing. Honestly, I can't answer that.
Do you think Rins will make the move to Yamaha?
Oh man, I hope so for him because I hope for him
I
because
saw a news. I
ah
saw a news article of Carno Pernod saying that he thinks he will go there.
man, that it really makes sense, and that would be a really genius move by Yamaha, I think. And the thing is, if Morbidelli goes on a Ducati, then that would be brilliant as well to see someone come out of a hole and back fighting. Yep.
Here's a question: how can someone be so awesome? So please elaborate on that, so people can be as awesome as you.
Thank you. I don't know if my wife and kids will agree, or you, or my boy. He's come to say hello. I'm busy. I'm busy. He wants to give me kisses. Come on. No, I'm not playing. Sorry, mate. He wants me to play. It's that time of night, you know. Normally we go
Okay.
for a walk. Hey, so yeah, let's finish that one. I have to go. The whole family's
Last
waiting for me.
question. Absolutely last question.
Did we
Do
finish
you
it?
remember? Do you remember Trevor Jordan?
Yeah, Australian. Yeah, we raced in
His
Malaysia.
son. His son. I know him. He already was on the podcast, and I really like him, Riley. And he asks, "Do you remember falling in the fish pond in the hotel when you raced with my dad, Trevor Jordan?"
Yes, that was young and less in control times. You know, we had big gaps between races, so when the race was over, we got on it. Hey, so I would like to elaborate on the last one I didn't answer. Is I think I would like to tell people about the job thing now that I've had enough experience of new jobs and careers, and is be patient and honest, and the because a lot of people aren't patient enough, and it's all about them. It's not. It's about the job, about the thing you're doing. That's my advice, you know. And one more thing is, uh, oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, Kerr said trusted, but that's part of you. She said right. Trust in yourself because she's seen me go through it a few times. Believe in yourself, and that's the way. No matter what other people are saying, just keep focusing on doing that. You know, doing it to the best of your ability, honestly, and trust. Kerr says that because that's what helps you get through that shit period until you start becoming good at it. The only other thing is shit, there's one more piece, and I'm too tired. It's not coming. Sorry. So anyway.
This has been by far the longest podcast I've ever did.
Sorry.
It has been a pleasure. No, it has been a pleasure talking to you. I think I could talk with Zonta. It was similar. I could talk to Zonta forever because he was so knowledgeable, so nice.
Amazing.
And same with you.
Especially for so young
fun.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so fun. You know how they say, never meet your heroes. And I can totally recommend for everybody who has you as a hero to meet you, because you're an awesome person. Thank you very much. And I only made like positive experience with the whole stuff. I mean, Remy has been the best person ever to me. He's so kind.
He's a special kid.
He's so sweet. Yes. And like Zonta, or same as you fall into this category of very friendly people who I really enjoyed talking to. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for doing this. I'm sorry that we couldn't answer all the questions, and
if you want, how about another day? Keep those questions, and another day we rattle. Just hook up and we rattle through the questions. Okay,
we will do this.
Okay.
Thank you so much for joining me. Hopefully, we can catch up in Austria and maybe do it in person with the questions. So thank you so much. I hope you have a great dinner. I hope you have a great evening. Thanks. My girlfriend also was harassing me to finish because she made dinner. So yeah. And greetings to your dog, greetings to your family, and goodbye.
Bye for now. My pleasure.